Paul?
Yeah, I am. Mr. Speaker.
Mika Whaiteri.
Mr. Speaker, tēnā koe, Mr. Speaker, tēnā tātou katoa, me mo te whare nei. Mr. Speaker, I rise in support of the first reading of the Waitangi National Trust Board Amendment Bill. Mr. Speaker, it gives me honour to support previous speakers in acknowledging the national significance of the Waitangi grounds in its history, and I too look forward to the bill in its commitment to modernising the governance arrangement of the Trust Board. Mr. Speaker, can I first acknowledge Peter Praone, former member of this House, the current chair of the National Trust, tēnei te mihi kia koe, i te matua. And I too am happy to hear that this bill will get forwarded to the Māori Affairs Select Committee. Mr. Speaker, my contribution is really in acknowledging the iwi of the far north, and I note the Honourable Chris Finninson's acknowledgement of Lord Bledisloe, but I want to acknowledge that original iwi owners. The history in my research is after the signing of the Treaty of Waitangi in 1840, the grounds belonged to the Busby family. And then in 1882, Agnes Busby, the wife of James Busby, sold the land 10 years after his passing. And it was local iwi who felt that the farmlands were in decline and sought to pursue Parliament to support the resurrection of what was a significant site, the beginning of our history and the signing of the Treaty of Waitangi. So, Mr. Speaker, I do want to pay tribute to the iwi of the time, who did forge and try to pursue the resurrection and the commitment or support to putting back the Waitangi Treaty grounds into what it has become now. And so I wanted to first pay tribute to them, Mr. Speaker. It was interesting in my own little research around at the time in 1878, when members of local tribes petitioned the government to set up a commemorative meeting house, the government of the day actually refused. So I'm glad that we're not in that period, but it's important that if we are going to be honest around our history, we need to acknowledge that part, that there were other people just as determined as clearly Lord Bledisloe was, and at the time the local MP Vernon Reid, to bring the state of the Waitangi Treaty Grounds estate to the attention of Parliament. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to acknowledge the original trustees that took their part on this trust board. I want to share a little story, Mr. Speaker, around having attended one of these trust board meetings at Government House under the governance role of the former Governor-General Dame Sylvia Cartwright. And I attended a meeting with the Trust alongside my predecessor, the late Honourable Parakura Horomia. Mr. Speaker, there are times in your life where you are amongst people that have touched history that is significant to you, and I can share with you, Mr. Speaker, that the hairs on the back of my neck rose when I sat at a table with direct descendants of Hone Heke, Tamati Wakanene, the Pōmari whānau on one side, and on the other side you had direct descendants of the Williams family, the Bledisloe family, and of course the Busby family, as well as the Wakefield family. So it was one of those occasions where you think you'll never ever be able to touch your history in such a personal way, Mr. Speaker. And so I do know that for that short time that I sat at the table with those trust members, the absolute commitment that these members have to honouring the founders in terms of receiving this site on behalf of all the nation, Mr. Speaker. And so I do want to acknowledge, like I said, the original trust members, but also I want to acknowledge the work of this particular amendment bill of Mr. Finlayson in terms of strengthening the relationship between the Crown and the board. And I too want to add my support that whoever's in government, that we seriously consider the ongoing resourcing and investment into ensuring that this trust, on behalf of all the nation, that we not only acknowledge the significance of the Waitangi grounds in terms of forging our history as a country, and it's quite fitting that we investigate ways in which we not only support it in spirit, but we actually support it in resourcing. So I too join with all members in this House in supporting the first reading of this bill, and I too look forward to it coming to Māori Affairs Select Committee and encourage people to participate in that process to ensure that this ground has a major and unquestionable part to play, and not just in our history as a nation, but definitely in the future going forward. Nō reira, tēnā koutou katoa.
Mike Sabin.
Mr. Speaker, it's a privilege to take a short call on this particular piece of legislation as the MP